Hey guys, welcome to this channel. In this video, I'm gonna help you understand how you can use generative AI in order to make portraits like these for yourself in less than a minute. You can see that I ran this prompt for my photos. I was able to generate like 10 images, not one, in less than around 1 minute. If you haven't heard about this or if you haven't seen people posting the photos like these yet, AI or generative AI, Stable Diffusion, OpenAI, ChatGPT are the word in town right now, and people are building platforms in order to enable you to build portraits of yourself like this or merely just chat with AI per se. So I'm going to help you understand how to do this without writing a single line of code. I'm going to try to keep this video as crisp as possible. Before you start doing this, click like 15-20 pictures of yourself with different faces, different angles, so that you can train the model on your faces. Now effectively what we are going to be doing throughout this video is we're going to be using like a pre-trained model that has information around objects or people throughout the internet. I think the model has been trained until 2019, where it recognizes people, it recognizes who they are, it recognizes what objects are, and then it kind of puts all of this together in order to build things like these. But it's highly likely that the model wouldn't know about you. So if you put your name in the prompt here, there should be a prompt somewhere up there, it won't recognize you. So you'll have to train the model with your name so that the next time you prompt like this, it generates photos of you like this. I'm also going to be putting some prompts that I think have worked best for me, and I hope these prompts really help you to generate portraits of yourself like this. With that in mind, let's get started. For training the image on your face, you will need a GPU. Now, if you're not aware of the concept of GPU, it's a graphic processing unit. Basically, because the model is so huge, it is 4 or 5 GB worth of data, you need like a graphic processing unit, a very strong graphic card in order to train, because it does so many iterations. Just if I had to explain you in layman terms, it's the processing power needed by the computer in order to train the model, because it's doing so many things at the same time. It's very likely that you don't have that in your computer. So we're going to be using Google Colab, and someone called Shivam has already created like a step-by-step guide of sorts in order to effectively train your model per se when it comes to the use case itself. So let's start by getting the GPU. Again, you can do this in the free plan, but it's likely that the GPU may not be available at some point. So if it's not available, uh, so again, before you do the GPU, let's just create like a copy of this notebook. So you create a copy of this on your drive, on your personal drive, so that you can also load it later when needed. Okay, let's enable the pop-up. Let's wait for it to create. Okay, once the copy is created, you can name it sat copy. You can name it with your name. Do whatever you want with the copy. Basically, you need to create like a notebook of sorts, and pynb basically means that it's Python notebook. Now you check for GPU. So it will ask you if you are the same person. Basically, we are using Google's graphic processing unit, which they are nice enough to give it for free, but it's not always available. So if it's not available for you right now, you can actually wait some more time or buy like a premium plan in order to access it. So I was able to connect it. You can see that RAM and disk have tick on the here. Now let's go ahead and install the requirements. Basically, these are the initial set of requirements your model will require in order to run. Again, this takes some time for the first time, and in the meantime, let's set up something else while it's being installed. What you'll also need in the step 3 is the Huggingface token. Now, Huggingface is a community of people who have created or work on these AI models. So you can go to huggingface.co, and then you create an account here. Then what you need to do is you need to go into settings, I need to generate an access token. Now access token basically tells the model that you are accessing or giving authorization that you're using this model. So the backend of this model that you're going to be generating your faces on is Stable Diffusion. Effectively what that means is that Stable Diffusion is like a public model that is free for everyone to use, but you accept certain norms before using the model itself. So in order to show that you're accepting model license, it says that you need to accept model license before downloading. You need to give your authorization. So you give the authorization in way of token. So generate a token here, click on write. You can say my face model, generate a token. You can copy this token and paste it here, and then you run the Huggingface column. It won't take the row won't take a lot of time. Now you need to install another requirement, which is xformers. So you click here. Again, all of this may take a bit longer when you're doing it for the first time, but the more you do it, the more consecutively you do it, it's going to take less and less of time. So it didn't take a lot of time here. Again, you click on save to G drive, and then you want to create an output directory. So this is the model that you're going to be running. So this is where the model is stored on Huggingface, and you need to specify the directory where you're going to be storing this in Google Drive. Now this will require your Google Drive access. Let's just say YT folder. You run this, it should ask for access. Connect to Google Drive and you give access. Shouldn't take long if you are if you are able to correctly give the access out. Shouldn't take you really long. Okay, we now have the access. Now at this point, everything initial setup is done. Now what you need to do is you need to train the model, which is where we come to the training section. All of this is pretty technical, so if you don't want to get into the codes, I recommend you don't get into all of this. But if you're interested in knowing this, I'm assuming that you know code, so you can go ahead and read this out. Now what we'll do is we'll create the instance prompt. Now instance prompt is the name that you want to put in the model, effectively the thing that you will put in the model to generate your face, right? So in this case, I'm gonna say yes. So put my name in here, and this class prompt is basically the effectively telling what class this belongs to. So I'm gonna say portrait of a man. Similarly, you can create another directory saying my photo, and then you can create another directory saying photo of a man, class instance directory. So the prompt will be saved here, and then the class will be saved in the class data directory. I hope all of this is clear. So this is if you don't understand this, don't worry about it. This is not going to have a huge impact but you need to know that every time you want to see your face somewhere at some point, you need to put the EST as a search. So for example, EST as Superman or EST as cartoon, etc., etc. All right. So now that we have both of these in place, let's run this section. This is where the training really begins, right? So we've done initial setup, and now this is the important part. You need to upload your images on this. What's important is the size of the image. So you need to ensure that every image is of 5:2 size when it comes to the cropping in a specific dimension, and that you're capturing your image from all the directions. So let's just verify this real quickly. You can see that showing the upload button. In order to, okay, you can go to brom.net. You can browse from your computer, and you can upload the images that you want to train your photo on. Now in this case, these images are already 5:5:2, so I'm not going to put in the effort. Once you crop it here, you can define say 5:2, 5 and 2, and then it will, you can effectively drag and drop or crop in that specific direction and then save as zip. Once you save that file as zip, you can choose those files here. So I'm going to upload all the files that I have trained. So I'm just going to use I'm just going to train it on 11 images, but in your case I recommend you go ahead and train on 32 images for better results. I'll show you the model that I've trained on 40 images and it does pretty well. So I'd recommend you doing the same for yourself. Currently uploading the images. I think the images are uploaded. Okay, so the 11 images that we wanted to upload are done. Now this is the other important part where you need to tell the model certain iterations that it has to do in order for it to create those images for you per se. So let's just wait for this. Okay, so this max training steps is the number of training steps you wanted to go through. So again, all of this you don't need to worry about, just use the formula I'm giving you. So for max train steps, it should be number of images into 80. So our images are 11 into 80, which is 880. So this is going to be 880. And this LR warm-up steps is going to be 10% of your this max train steps. So it should be 88. And then number of class images is going to be the number of images into 12. So that means ours is 11, 12, 132. So again, all of this is technical and you don't really need to worry about all this, but this is where the real training of the model begins. So you need to ensure that you do this step really correctly. If you make a mistake here, it's gonna take a while for you to go and do all of this again, right? So you'll have to start from scratch. Now that that's done, let's just start the training. Just a quick heads up, this takes a while especially if you're training for 32 images. I remember it took me 2 hours to train on 40 images, so I'm assuming it's going to take a longer while for you as well. So while the training happens, I'm going to take a quick pause on the video and we'll get back when the training is done. Training to complete, just FYI on the terms on what these mean, right? So it says that it's taking 32.67 seconds to generate one iteration of the image, and it's generating like 33 iterations of the image per se. So just FYI if you're wondering what happens here. And just also heads up, once you generate the class images, there'll be 2 more steps. They'll take similar amount of time. Right now it says that it'll take around 8 minutes to complete training on this model. And once this is done, I don't think there are too many steps. So I think this is the longer wait part in order to train the image. Especially what I've also learned is that if you're training more than 35 or 40 images, you'll often see that you'll run out of GPU memory. So in the free plan of Collab, at some point you'll run out of memory and you'll have to restart the training. So be mindful of using the few number of images. What I've noticed that is 30 to 35 is the sweet spot. I kind of stretched a bit and I did for 40 and it worked out, but I realized that I was playing on the border there. So just FYI, I think this will help you when you're working on your own model per se. So again, it's going to take 7 more minutes, and I think post this there's going to be one more step of training, and post that the training will be done, and then we can start playing with the model. What I'll do is I will go to my old model because that's much more trained on a bigger sample set, so I'll be able to generate better prompts there. Alright folks, looks like the training is almost completed. You can see the step percentage is 100%, and I'm just waiting for this to complete. I'll generate a few samples really quick. I think this will take longer. So the next step, let's discuss about the next step as well. Specify weights directory. Now scroll all the way up while this is being done. Let's just scroll all the way up. Copy this link, paste the link here, and let's just wait for this to complete. Once this is done, what we'll do is we'll put our model there. These steps is completed. Hopefully this should be done soon. And see, the weights are already saved. But then if you want, you can also specify the weights directory. So if I go to my Google Drive now, if I go in here, YT folder, this is the model. So the model is now there in the Google Drive. So I can use it anytime I want in the future without doing the retraining again. Let's generate some sample preview images to see. Alright, so the model has now completed training. So how do you access it the next time you want to run the same model without actually training the model, right? So I'm just going to quickly walk you through that as well. Scroll all the way to the bottom, click here, free runtime memory. This will exit the application. You can save it and close it, and then in your Google Drive you can go to your drive and you can see that the file is here. Just open the file. You can ask for the GPU and VRAM again. If it's not available, you may have to wait some time before you can access it again. But I'm just going to walk you through how you can load the model again once you've done the retraining. Okay, so that's done. You install the requirements. This basically means that there is a GPU that you can use. So once you do the initial training, it wouldn't take as much time as it did to train the model, because you don't have to upload the images and do the retraining again. So let's just wait. This should take around a minute or so. Again, all of these links are available in the description. Feel free to play with these models yourself. Training. So the initial requirements are done. Connect to Huggingface. Install xformers. Connect to your Google Drive to firstly access the model from Huggingface, and secondly use the model that you had trained in the drive. This will not ask for the permission if you load the model in the same day again, because you've already granted permission once. The training section though, now you have to completely ignore. Don't worry about retraining. I'll just go to inference and run this. It takes around a minute or so. Oh, you may have to load this once, and now go to inference. You can see it's saying weights directory, so you need to give weights directory, but if you don't give anything here, it will load the latest one, which is this, which is where our model is stored right now. So you just put that in, or just run that in once, and then you rerun this if you see an error. I don't think there will be an error because it has passed from model path, so it means that it found the model and it's loading the model now. Once this is successful, your model is set up and you can start generating your portraits. You don't have to do any further training. So this is done. You go to run for generating images and you start generating your images. I've already added a portrait. All of these prompts and negative prompts will be available in the description, so check it out. Negative prompt won't change, but this will change depending on what you want to build. Now where I go in order to get these prompts is I use Lexica Art. You can go here, it'll load a bunch of images. You can choose any one you want. Just add your face name. So in this space, okay, let's just try this prompt. Once this is generated, and see that this is not very close to my face. This one looks close to my face. The reason is that I trained on a very small sample set of images. If you might have noticed, my previous model did a real good job when generating images that looked exactly like me. Yes, let's just try. Okay, it's gonna take a few seconds. Again, this is not unlimited, so ensure that you go ahead and purchase like a premium version of Google Colab if you're going to be using this a lot more frequently, but this will help you at least get started with what we need to do. Okay. Oh, that's weird, but it did a fine job. Not very close to how I look, but at least it made a decent attempt. Alright, let's try the model with this prompt. So I'll explain you what each of these mean, but let's just try running the model with this prompt. Alright, while it's loading, so prompt is what you want to load in the image. Negative prompt is the things that you don't want to see in the image. So for example, the face is broken. You don't want to see broken face. So there are a bunch of things that you should add in here, and I'll share some negative prompts as well. So let's just put those here. This says all the bad things that you don't want to see in the picture should be added here. So poorly formed eyes, blurry, these are all the things that the model will take care of when it's running. Number of samples is the number of images you want to generate. And finally, guidance scale is how closely your model should be to the given prompt. 0 means it will generate randomly, and 100 means that it will be very close to what the prompt you gave me, but 7.5 is what you should use. Inference steps means the number of steps, iteration step that it should go to, and 50 is the sweet spot. Height is 5 and 2, width is 5 and 2. If you cannot generate more than these parameters right now, because this is a free model by Google. If you want to run on a higher scale, you may have to purchase like a premium plan, but these settings work. You can see it's generated some images. Now this is not very close to how I look, but the reason is obviously that I've given it very few images. If you train more than 30 images, I'll show you how the model would work. Alright, so this is the model where I've trained where I've used more than 40 images to train on my face. So let's just try loading the same prompt in this model. You saw the images in the previous model weren't as close, but what this goes on to say is the more number of images you put in the model, the more it understands your face per se. So let's just wait for it to load. And after this, let's play around with a few prompts that you can use for your own images, and I'll add all of these prompts in the comments too in order for you to use them. So it's loading. You see, it wouldn't take a lot of time. Google best cartoons in order to see. Okay, so I think there's a problem. That wasn't a problem. I actually went ahead and put the negative prompt in there. So let's just retry this. Alright, let's just wait for another 35 seconds. You can see that whatever you put in the prompt here is what the model is going to be working on and generating. Ensure that you use the negative prompts that I've added here. It will only help you to build like these are the prompts that I have played with before and have worked out for me well. So I think at least when you start off with, and if you're expecting the images that I showed you at the start of the image or start of the video per se, I think these are the prompts that you should use as a starting point. Now I think the model has generated our first set of images. Let's just wait and see how they look. Much better. So you can see that these are much more closer to my face compared to what the previous model was showing me. Obviously this has nothing to do with me, but what this goes on to say is that the more images that you put in the model, the better output that it's going to be throwing out for your face per se. Again, all of this is privacy secured because all of this is stored in your own Google Drive. But do make a note that when you're resizing the images, you can do it offline on your computer using Microsoft Paint rather than uploading it on the website that I showed you earlier, but that's a call that you can take. Let's just play around with more prompts and see the kind of results that you can expect. These prompts are also the prompts that you can use in order to generate your own images. Let's try something else. What I do is I go to Lexica and I find certain prompts that can be used in the model to generate a similar image for yourself. I'm going to keep this to 3. Let's see what it generates. It's not too bad. It's not too good either. Let's find another prompt on Lexica. This seems interesting. let's try. So the good thing about using Google Colab is that you don't really need to invest a lot of your internal resources. So even if you don't have a great graphics card, this enables you to still generate images or train your images by using the cloud computing capabilities of Google. Okay. See, it wouldn't take you so long once the model is trained. Oh man, these are not great pictures. Again, you can see that some of the images are repeated. Let's see if we can do Control Z and go back to our earlier prompt. Okay, let's just try this. I think it has been generating some real cool images for me. This prompt has been working well. I have a couple of more prompts that you may be able to use in order to generate like good prompts for yourself. It worked better than most of the other ones that I found, but you can always keep experimenting on Lexica to find the prompts that work really well with your face. But I've also noticed that it works really well when you are generating anime or cartoon of yourself, when as compared to say realistic pictures. I've found certain prompts that have done a decent job there though, and I think as I find more, I'll keep posting in the comments, so keep an eye out there. You can see that these are some really interesting art pieces that have been generated purely with AI. Alright, so you can see this is really cool. This prompt has been doing like really great generations for the image per se. Okay. That's most likely gonna be it for this video. If you wanna, the other use case is that if you are interested, you can also train this again using someone else's face, maybe your girlfriend, and then you guys can generate avatars of yourselves together. So consider subscribing to the channel, drop a like on this video, share this across with a friend, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much.